Hey everybody, it's Joe Trippi, and welcome back to That Trippi Show with my co-host Alex Sashlow. This week, we're still talking about Epstein. I think that's a good thing. I actually think the whole thing is a really good way to understand how Trump world works, what they're afraid of, and why they talk about what they talk about. Let's dig into that. With everything else going on, why is this such a big deal? Alex, where should we get started, my friend?
Yeah, today's an Epstein day, guys. I'm just going to lay that out at the top. But the point is, Joe, we haven't really gotten into the why around just how pervasive this thing is. It's been in the news for like weeks now. And like you said, I think it really gives us a way into the inner workings of Trump world in a way. And I would just say this to start off. Trump is actually not that hard to understand. I get a lot of questions from friends, family, colleagues, like, why did Trump do X? Why did Trump do Y? He's not that hard to understand, as you well know, Joe. There's a calculus here. It's really simple. Is it good for Trump? Yes or no? And if it's good for Trump, he's going to do it. If it's not good for Trump, he's not going to do it. Once we get into this Epstein stuff, I think you'll see how this calculus really plays out. I mean, that's basically it. So, Trippi, how big a deal is this stuff really?
Yeah, I think it sure is. I think the reason is it's the first time since he's come down the escalator where he's lost total control of the cycle, of the buzz cycle, totally. Look, here's a guy, when he distracts, everybody follows the distraction. And he's thrown up a number of them and nothing's working. In fact, the more he tries to distract from this, or the more he flames anybody who's spending time talking about Epstein, the more he actually pours more gasoline on the fire, and the more his spokespeople go on the attack and, blame Obama or Comey or whoever, the more I think it just, again, you got to remember, what's all the attention on? The attention is on Epstein, and he's trying to run away from that. That's attention he does. He wants to distract from that. And almost everything he does brings more attention to it. And so I think, and it's registering. I mean, you got 2/3 of Americans believe there is an Epstein list and that the government is covering it up. And that includes majorities of Democrats, independents, and yes, folks, Republicans.
Are you surprised at that Republican number at all?
No, because that's just saying, is there a list and is the government covering it up? And if everybody knows there's a list and there's got to be a reason. I mean, first of all, if Obama, as he says, this is all a hoax and they've planted his name all the way through it, but then mysteriously they didn't release him, the docs with his names on it. I mean, nothing he's saying makes sense. And so at the same time, yeah, people think there's a list. They've heard about it. They've heard a lot about it. And even Republicans believe there's a cover up. And that's the problem for him, because, well, do you think Trump's part of the cover up? That Republican number goes from, 66% think there's a list and that there's a cover up. And then all of a sudden it drops to like 41% of Republicans who think, yeah, when you say, is Trump part of it, it drops to 41. So there's still a huge number of Republicans, 59% or whatever, who will, yes, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would think he had a good reason. So they'll believe all this bullshit. But 41% of them are not. And a majority of Americans, I mean, actually 2/3 of Americans, including Republicans, think there's a cover up. And here's the reason he's having all this problem, because, yeah, he sold everybody on it. He sold them all. And he had Bannon and everybody out there, JD, everybody pushing this thing.
They were flogging it. Yeah.
Yeah. His FBI director. I mean, come on. We're going to go in there. We're going to find it. And we're going to release the names. You're going to get everything. You're going to find out, how depraved and corrupt things are. Yeah. Until, it turns out Bondi tells him your name's mentioned a lot. And then Bondi says there is no list. And Justice says, hey, there's nothing, there's no evidence, there's nothing, there's no files. Well, that's the problem, because they've got a bunch of people they sold on this conspiracy who are waiting, salivating for the names of all the horrible, corrupt, depraved people. The problem is one of them is Donald Trump, and that is the problem. And so, you know, they promised everybody that they would expose this corruption, and now they are doing everything they can to bury it and make sure no one ever sees it. And I think that and part of how they're doing that, by the way, is the next problem for them that that they're doing now that Obama was part of.
Yeah, we'll get to the Obama part, which is just why
but they won't be able to deliver that either, and that's the problem. In other words, so they get we'll try to distract you with a different conspiracy theory that will really because we know you love hearing about that crap, and people aren't even really biting on that, and to the extent they do, it's going to be another time when they're going to have to walk away and say there's nothing there, or I guess they could fabricate stuff, but you can't put anything past them. But anyway,
let's dig more into the Obama stuff. He's trying multiple things. I mean, he posted an AI video of Obama getting arrested for treason. They're really trying to get the conservative ecosphere really ginned up about this. And did it? First of all, why? But did it work? I kind of think it didn't.
No, it's not. It's not work. And like I said, to the extent it does work, I mean, to distract people into this conspiracy theory, the new one, the traitorous Obama, which is crazy and ridiculous, and that too will now, I think, to the extent it excites anybody in his base, they're going to be very disappointed too, just like they are on the Epstein stuff. So. It just points to he's finally in a spot where, look, throughout the whole thing, we know that the Republican members of the Senate and the House have been more afraid of MAGA and Trump than anybody. I mean, always afraid of Trump or MAGA or Elon and MAGA and Trump primarying them, being harder on the right than they are, and the louder they got, the more alligator Alcatraz they got, the more they fed those people. The problem now is that Trump, I think, through the way he's handled this and his administration's handling it, his spokespeople are handling it, is admitting that he's now afraid of his own base. I mean, this is the thing, I think, that the reason they're trying to push back on this, and I think I said it in a letter to a MAGA friend that I posted in the Substack, Lincoln Square Substack today, but I said the reason this is so dangerous is because they know that the depravity, the corruption, the out and out, just shameful garbage and horror of what was going on in the Epstein world, that when MAGA finds out, even his strongest supporters may leave him over this. If this is the part of the corruption that he's involved in, more interested in protecting his own skin than exposing the corruption of others. I think this is one of those things where they're so afraid that what they're afraid of is that finally this is something that even a staunch MAGA supporter might leave him over if they ever learn the truth. And that's why we're never going to learn the truth. We're never going to see the files.
This all does tie in if you think of it. So remember, this is the base. This is the guy whose base was all really excited about when he showed up in front of 17 flags when he landed at Andrews once.
Yeah.
And the 17, of course, being the symbol for Q. But this is the kind of and remember the other thing, they have created this ecosystem. It's very powerful, as we've discussed numerous times. And as you know, we've been trying to catch up for a long time. But that ecosystem is kind of a gaping maw that they have to keep shoveling things into. And right now, what they're shoveling into and what they're trying to gin up and what they're trying to either distract or get them off with, it's not working. I mean, one of our data partners pulled this stat for us. So they track the top 100 right-leaning accounts on social media, and 65 out of 100 of them were posted a lot about Epstein in the last couple of weeks. Only 38 took the bait on Obama. This is like your Benny Johnsons and your, all the crazy MAGA accounts, but like the people that are shoveling this content to the MAGA base are not picking it up like they are the Epstein stuff, and that's a big problem for Trump.
The bigger problem is the MAGA base isn't amplifying the Obama stuff. They're amplifying the questions about Epstein. So this is the whole. So you get 65 out of 100 pumping that stuff, and the reason they're doing it, the reason it's 65 out of 100 is because they're seeing what the comments are. They're seeing who's responding and what they're doing and what's being amplified. You put more stuff in. This is a whole system that they've built where the more you feed the amplification, the more you gain eyeballs and grow your brand. And so, hey, if pumping the Obama stuff was working, it'd be the other way around, but it's not. And so you still have like, okay, the 35, I'll be loyal. I'll pump some garbage out on Obama, but it's not getting picked up. My guess is this isn't going away. The people the 65 out of 100 who've been, basically amplifying Epstein constantly are still getting a lot more traction. And that's just going to get even more to feed it. And that's part of his problem because they created this monster. They amplified the depravity, and they pointed over and over again and rumored about different names, different Democrats, different whoever, different CEOs, different billionaires, and it was all about the horror that was being done to minor children. I mean, to children who weren't of age, sexually assaulted, brutalized, and trafficked. They pumped that out and said they were going to release everything.
And then they never did. She said it was on her desk.
And they never did it. Right.
Pam
It was on
Bondi
her
said it
desk.
was on
She
her
told
desk.
him in May that his name was in there, that there were files and his name was in them. He knows that. Well, okay. And then they say there are no files. We're not releasing anything. Oh, no. What about the transcripts of the grand jury testimony? Not going to happen either. Even though that we all know, isn't the list. It's not the black book. It's not the stuff. It's not the over 4,000 documents or that's actually we know exists that they're not releasing.
I mean, what this all boils down to for me, at least, and Joe, I know you and I have a lot of conversations day to day with other Democrats, other political operatives, campaign managers, et cetera. And almost to a person, and this is kind of what's freaking me out right now, almost to a person, you would not believe how many people are saying, oh, we got to get off of this. We got to get to something else. I can't believe this is great. Like there's almost this like lack of belief that this matters. And it really scares me that the kind of Democratic political class, of which we are technically still a part, is so eager to move on to something. Isn't that just kind of handing Trump the win he wants?
No, that's us. That's us. We get bored. We can't repeat the same thing over and over and over again. They haven't learned a damn thing from build that wall and Mexico will pay for it. No, this is stay on Epstein. Force him. I mean, we should be having prayer vigils for the victims of Epstein and demanding that the list be released, that the documents, that all the facts come out. A No Kings protest asking for the files to be released, that the victims have justice, etc. I mean, getting off this is crazy. There's there's going to be plenty of time. I mean, what I would do, I wrote that letter. I hope people check it out, put it in the show notes. But I wrote a letter to a long lost MAGA friend of mine in a way that actually irked a lot of my friends on the left because we can't forgive those people. We can't let them back in. No, now's the time to say to them, you were right about the corruption. You were right about a lot of things. You had a right to be angry. We all did. System was failing us all, and it failed you. But it turns out Donald Trump has basically revealed who he really is because he was part of all this. And he said he was going to go at, expose the corruption. And now he's doing everything to bury it because he's in it. And so, let's start talking because we got to figure out how we're going to fix this mess together. And we used to be friends. And I mean, if I could, I'd urge everybody out there who said, no, I'll never talk to my MAGA friends ever again, that now is a moment not to scream at them, not to be angry, but to basically tell them they were right to be angry. They were right to be worried about corruption. But this depravity, the corruption that happened here, the shameful acts that hurt children, minor that were sex trafficked, and he won't release everything. And and he knew.
I'll give you some data to back you up here. Okay, Navigator tested this week. They tested 2 ways about why they think the cover up is happening, and then broke it down by party. First way, the government is protecting the rich and powerful names on the list. 2, Trump is named or at least implicated. It will not shock you that when you bring Trump into it, everything basically falls off a cliff with MAGA. The way that independents and Republicans are way more likely to respond to any of this Epstein stuff is exactly how you just pointed it out, which is this is part of that swamp. It's part of the cover up. It's part of protecting the broken system. And you can get into Trump as part of it, but making it just about Trump, that's where you start losing people. But there is a way forward there, and I wish other Democrats would take that lead.
You don't have to make it about Trump. You have to make about release the damn documents, release the files, release everything.
Yeah, but they're so bad. So
when you do that,
they're going to say release it once, and then tomorrow they're going to talk about Medicaid.
No, I'm serious. I'm talking about the next No Kings. Everything should be demanding for the victims. For what's clearly a cover up, let the chips fall where they may, release everything. And the problem he has is he can't release everything because he's in there. So he won't. And if he does, he'll be in there. So that's my point. He'll be he's in trouble because he promised that he was gonna get to the bottom of this kind of stuff and expose it all. And all we have to do, any Democrat, is you said you were going to expose everything, expose it, put everything out there, let the chips fall where they may. We demand that you release the files, release everything, and he won't do it. He's not going to. He's obviously petrified.
Right.
Of losing his base. And we don't have to, the more you push, basically make it about anything other than the actual corruption, the depravity, the reason the victims should deserve the truth, and America deserves the truth. It doesn't matter who's in there, whoever is in there, we all deserve to know. And he can't. That's the whole reason he can't release anything, because obviously he's in there. So that's what I'm saying. He will get his comeuppance, but it will be either because he refuses to release something that's over 60% of all Americans believe happened, was horrible, and is now being covered up by the government. and he's helping cover it up if he doesn't release it. That's one way he's in trouble. Or he does release it, and guess what? Oh man, it turns out Trump was aware and knew and was and is listed, and who knows what else is in there. I mean, the stuff that's already leaking, the photos, the videos, the letters, the wonderful secret that we can now put together with the beautiful call, perfect call. It's not going to go anywhere that works for Donald Trump, which is why he's got to hey, look at this shiny Obama object or whatever,
If I could tell our Democratic friends one thing, it would just be this: do not fall for the whole, oh, we tested it, and when we post about it and we do stuff, it doesn't break through. You talking about it is not, you talking about it is forcing the media to cover it, and it's forcing them to talk about it, and it's forcing them to respond. It's not necessarily about you. It's about feeding that maw, keeping it going, and just repeating it over and over again.
Well, that's what's happened. And the proof is in the number of Americans who are paying attention, heard about it, understand what's going on, and believe there's a cover up. Because what's happening, this is not your normal thing that's going on here. What's happening is, I mean, just some of the polling, I think you may have it from Navigator, where literally a very, very big percentage of people who do not consume news, who literally, you have to beat their doors down to get them to follow anything in the news. Something like, it's already up to 49% of those people have heard about this and the cover up and what's going on with Epstein right now in the last 2 weeks. So how did that happen? It happened because that's all everybody's talking about. That's how he's lost control.
I heard someone say, we have to shift the narrative. I said, no, that's what Trump is trying to do. Do not shift the narrative.
That's what he's trying to shift the narrative. And the fact is, the narrative is breaking through. It's not breaking through. I mean, look, Fox isn't doing a ton of stuff on the Epstein thing. This is not, it's like, this is breaking through, not because, just because literally the local news, the local, everybody is talking about this. It's I said this before, we used to have this thing called a water cooler. You'd go down the water cooler at work and you gather around it, and as you're getting coffee or water, you talk about whatever crazy thing you saw on the news last night. Well, that's happening. It's happening. It's happening on social networks. It's happening in comment sections on newspapers. It's happening when around the dinner table. It's happening everywhere, and it's on the one thing Donald Trump doesn't want you to think about. So trying to switch up the narrative is exactly what he wants. That's why he's trying to use Obama and Comey as shiny objects that you need to watch. That's the conspiracy of treason that they were involved in. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think that'll work. And even to the extent it does with some of his MAGA crowd, they too will be disappointed again when it turns out that was bullshit too, and he's lying about all of it.
Joe, we have some good listener questions, but I don't think we've got the time this week. So let's call it a day here. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend, and we'll get to them next week.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, and thanks everyone for listening to that Trippi show. I do want to call out a couple of things. Please join us at says.us. We are trying to build a civil social network for real human beings. Pretty critical to building a pro-democracy community that has the tools to revolt, to create the American renewal that needs to be created, and that starts working together to fix this mess. Our podcast will always be free, and it's part of Lincoln Square. So check out the latest at lincolnsquare.media. I have my letter to a long lost MAGA friend that I posted there today. And you can also check out Alex and me on the Substack, that Trippi's Take. And you might want to check that out. Alex is actually posting more there than me, but I'm going to start doing more. And if you're listening to this episode on YouTube, please like and subscribe to get alerts when we post the next episode. And you can always send us a question to thattrippyshow@gmail.com or leave us a question in a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week. Keep the revolt growing. Keep the opposition growing. Let's literally find and educate more people about why we have to stay on message, not change the narrative when we're finally winning one, and keep moving forward and build something that cripple them sooner than later, because we need to do it soon. Thank you.